Hello, listeners, and welcome to Beyond the Mirror. This isn't just another podcast, it's a deep dive into the world of beauty, wellness, and longevity. Now, we're here to discuss what beauty really means beyond just appearances. We'll also talk about wellness, the habits and practices that keep us healthy, full of energy, and we'll explore the topic of longevity, looking at the science and realities of living a long, fulfilling life. So sit back, relax, and join us as we go beyond the mirror.
Hello, and welcome back to Beyond the Mirror. Today, we're excited to have one of my oldest friends and a brilliant person, all things nails today, although she's a fantastic laser technician as well. So, I bring to you my friend Jennifer Kopolow, the queen of the nails, the superstar, the one that knows all. We also call her Dr. Kopolow a little bit because, if we have a medical question, she seems to know the answer or at least who to call.
Right, who to call to find the answer.
Yeah, exactly.
I like to say that I'm really good about just keeping my mouth shut if I don't know the answer.
I don't know. Neither one of us are actually very good at that.
Maybe
not. So I'm happy to have her here to talk nails with all of you. Why don't we start by you just giving me your background, how long you've been working, what brought you to the industry in the first place, that kind of information.
All right, well, thank you for having me. I started in 1991. So at the time that this podcast is being recorded, I am at 32 years in the business as a licensed nail technician. But according to my mother, I've been doing nails since I was 4. So that would put me at 47 years of doing nails.
You just confessed your age on the air.
That's okay. I'm proud of my age. Thank God I'm this age. I wouldn't be younger if you paid me. And I've been working in salons and spas since I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
And I have worked for a major brand. Can I say that on the air?
Yeah.
Okay. I've worked for 5 years. I worked as what's called an education ambassador for CND, which stands for Creative Nail Design. They rebranded themselves. I think it was in 2008 or 2009, went from Creative Nail Design to CND. And so my training extends just beyond beauty school. I was actually trained by scientists because at the end of the day, paint or polish or things that we put on the nail are chemicals. And so I worked for a chemical company, but that chemical that was manufactured was nail products. And the people that manufacture nail products are scientists. So I am trained by scientists in everything nail.
And there is literally no one in the world of nails that does not understand that not all nail techs are created equal. Like, in the sense that the level of education, the quality of product that they are able to provide, their even understanding their education of like the nail itself, the biology. I'm not saying they didn't learn it. It's just when you go to random pop-in places, it's an inconsistent experience.
I would agree with that. I would, with some degree of certainty, say that 9 out of 10 nail techs are not as educated and trained as I am. I come from a family of educators, so education in and of itself is valued in my family. And then just in my career, I sought out the highest level of education that I could. And working for literally an international brand and being trained by the creators of these products, my understanding of the science, the anatomy, the physiology, and the biology behind what I do is unmatched by most members of my end of the industry.
Sure. And that's how come we're friends.
That's exactly why we're friends.
We met online, we like to say.
We do like to say that. That's my favorite thing. How did you meet? We met online. And we met online because a colleague of Jennifer Warman-Bloss's, Googled best shellac in St. Louis, and my name popped up.
Yes, so that's a C&D product back when she was an ambassador. And I've always had troubles with traditional nail polish because I'm an esthetician and my hands are in water and all the things. keeping polish on. And so when shellac came out, I was like, oh, I have to have this. And that's how I found Jennifer, and we became fast friends. And here we are. I mean, it's been a long time. We've been together a
It's
long
been
time.
about 14 years.
Yeah.
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 hmm
So longer than my marriage.
Me too.
So anyway, we're gonna talk nail myths today, is in specifically like nail toppings and processes, and Jennifer's gonna clarify some mistruths slash exaggerations about nails, and we're gonna hit on them from a scientific standpoint and from a normal person standpoint so you guys can understand as well. So let's start out with some of your favorite myths.
That dip ruins nails, gel ruins nails, products ruin nails. 100% of the time, it is not the nail product, it is the person. Whether it's your nail tech, whether it's you picking off your nail, whether it's the nail technician, manicurist, nail professional picking off your product, not doing your product properly. Application is key. It is the people. It is not the product. Every legal nail product is 100% safe. I'm going to pull back a little bit. I'm going to go 99.9% because if you have an allergy, it's not safe. And for example, I can't eat shellfish. It puts me into anaphylactic shock, which leads to death. So I skip lobster, but it doesn't make lobster bad. It makes lobster bad for me. So I hope that puts that in perspective. So exceptions aside, which is an allergy, if you are struggling with your product, you either aren't wearing the right product or it's not being put on the right way. And so that's when somebody like me is important, because what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to make your nail appropriate for the product to stay on. I'm going to put the appropriate product for you on your nail. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And and on that front, even things like the lamp, the kind of the quality of lamp, the quality of base coat if necessary, all of those elements. How often is the product like one of my pet peeves before you would be I'd go get my nails done at just some random place, and they have all the polishes on the wall, and they're like 90% separated because they're so old or they've been watered down with acetone
Mm-hmm.
in order to extend that color and not have to buy another one, et cetera, et cetera. It's like when you guys see that in the world, you have to know that that has an effect on the quality of service that you're going to receive on your nail. And what's nice with Jennifer is she's really thinking that all of those elements through. And so it's tremendous. And that's the same for any technician. So if you don't live in our area and you're just popping into places, it is good for you to build a relationship with someone because you might not guess the right product the first time.
Right. It is important to know the person that you're working on. So I learn my client. I learn my individual client. I learn my individual client's needs. I literally have a consultation with them. How often do they want to see me? How well do they want their nails to wear? Do they have a high activity level? Do they want long nails or short nails? Do they want to see me once a week or once a month, or when they feel like it? Are you a special occasion nail client? Are you an every other week nail client? And what is your nail type? Also, age does play a role. The other thing that plays a role is your willingness to do home care. And I take all of those things into consideration. And then I tell people, I make suggestions of what they should wear and what their expectation of that product should be. Because if you are going to come in with you, if you're going to come in with weak nails, with a high activity level, with and you want your super long nails and you want them to wear for 3 weeks, well, that's just not going to happen. You're going to have to do some things to make that happen. And the expectation that your nail should wear for 3 weeks without doing any work at your end is unrealistic. So, and I think that idea has been put into place by marketing of nail companies that you read in magazines and you see on TikTok and Instagram, that this lasts 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or I've had this on for 7 weeks. Well, That's not exactly true, and your nails grow, and I like to explain to people that nails are like bed sheets. A king size sheet is a king size sheet, but you can have a 200 thread count sheet or a 1,000 thread count sheet and everything in between. And having those different thread counts makes a difference. Are your sheets going to get wrinkly, or are they going to look perfect? Are they going to shrink? Are they going to snag? Are you going to have to iron them? Are they going to be soft? Are they going to be hard? All of these different factors play a role. The other thing that I like to talk to my clients about when it comes to home care is how important that is to keep the pH of your natural nail intact for whatever that nail coating is that we put on it to stay on.
And so how does the client then help protect their pH level of?
The best way to do that is the appropriate nail oil. There are several that I use because nail oils, the molecule of the oil is small enough to penetrate the nail. So just throwing olive oil on or lotion on is not small enough of a molecule. It sits on top of the nail. It doesn't go within it. And if you put it underneath your nail, it gets into your nail and gets into your nail bed, and that's where you want it. So, something that's really popular that I've used for years is CND solar oil, but also good oils. Gelish makes a great oil. Cuccio makes a good oil. Cuccio is very inexpensive, and these are all available on Amazon. And I think that Cuccio is the least expensive, but they all have pretty similar molecular structures. They all have the same ingredients, pretty much. So you just want that tiny molecule, and you want that to be taken into your nail plate, and that'll keep your pH intact. Whether you have a nail coating on or not, you should always use an oil.
And so are there particular biological nail types that's more important to, or is it across the board?
It's across the board.
Everyone.
Okay. There's a reason why everybody needs it. Specifically to you, to Jennifer Warman-Bloss, she has that 1,000 thread count sheet, which is great, but it has its problems. And the problems is that the problem with that nail type is it tends to be very hard, and hard nails tend to be very dry nails, and hard dry nails like to shatter. And so what using a oil is going to do is it's going to get into that nail plate, and it's going to make it flexible, so it's going to keep it from shattering.
So, yes, so like the inclination would be, oh, I have a weak nail, so I need it more. But the reality is, it's like taking your vitamins, but for your nails.
Right.
So
It's
it
external.
has a purpose for everybody.
Mhm.
Let's hit on another myth that makes you crazy. I know I'm going to ask you about one in particular
Okay.
because you and I researched this
Okay.
when it first started coming up.
Okay. You want me to do my next myth, or do you want to go with
I'm
this
gonna-
little surprise that
I'm
you're
gonna
throwing
give
at
you this
me?
surprise, and you'll know it. You'll be like, oh yes, of course.
Okay.
Wait,
I hate
no,
this.
here it goes.
Oh.
The UV light is giving me skin cancer. Let me say that again. The
Okay.
UV light is not giving you skin cancer, says the lady who's had skin cancer. So I would not be using a UV light if there was a risk. So I'm going to lead that to Jennifer then explaining why it isn't.
Because it's not the kind of UV ray that gives you skin cancer. There are 3 types of UV rays, and the UV ray that comes out of the lamp is not what causes skin cancer. And people have no understanding of what light is. First of all light is UV. The light that you turn on in your bedroom or in your kitchen or in your office or that comes from the sun, absolutely all light is UV. It's just how that UV is emitted that varies. So it can be an LED bulb, it can be an incandescent bulb, it can be a fluorescent bulb, but it is all UV. It just the technology of how that UV is emitted is what varies.
Yeah, and if the nail light could give you skin cancer, then the fluorescent light that you're working in and living in would also do the same.
Exactly the same. Yes.
And it doesn't. So, and we really dug into this.
And nobody, I'm going to tell you this right now, nobody is walking around with tan hands.
This is true.
I have been doing this over 3 decades.
And do people get age spots on their hands?
Absolutely not. Not from the UV lights.
No,
Not from nail lamps.
But
no.
in general, they do.
Mm-hmm.
However, I would say a lot of times it's golfers, it's tennis players, it is like the outside sport people that tend to have, or just the sun bunnies that tend to have age spots on the hands. It has nothing to do with the nail light. Those same people that have age spots on their hands probably have them on their arms. They probably have them on their face. So again, there's no like they don't work together. It's not like there's no coalition of the light equaling X. The light is just a curing agent. It's no more dangerous than the light that you're sitting in right now.
It's
Listening
actually
to
a
this.
lot safer than the light we're sitting in right now.
Yeah.
You're in it for if you are concerned at all about any kind of UV that is coming out of a lamp, get your nails done at night, because you are getting much more UV by being in your car driving to your nail appointment than you are sitting and getting your nails done.
Right. Okay, so let's hit on your next myth that you might want to talk about.
My nails are paper thin. How thick do you want your nails? Is my next question. What's the expectations of how thick your nails should be? They should be as thin as paper. You don't want thick nails. You don't want a piece of cardboard sitting on top of your fingers. You'd never get anything done. So they're supposed to be that thin.
And also, there are actual disorders that are associated with super thick nails.
Yes, there
Super
are.
thick nails is not a good thing. I mean, I have nice, sturdy, strong nails, but I can't even think of the old diseases, oniki, blah, 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 whatever.
Onycholysis.
There we
yeah.
go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where you have a thickening of the nail. That's not good.
It's bad. It's very bad. They're supposed to be thin. I also, I do get very frustrated with people that don't do proper home care, because they'll say to me, well, I did it, a few times. The nails are part of your skin anatomy. Your skin is your largest organ. You have to treat it just like you would treat your other organs, which is very nicely, and give it what it needs. So are you, when you wake up in the morning and you're hungry, you eat breakfast, you only eat breakfast a few times a week and then you're good? No, of course not. You have to eat every day, multiple times a day. You have to feed your stomach. You have to feed your body. You have to feed your nails, and you have to do it from the outside, not from the inside. The nail is non-living tissue, just like your hair, and you have to take care of it as well as you take care of your hair. And that leads me to my next rant, which is, if you treated your hair like you treated your nails and your hair broke off, you would be upset, right? If you washed your hair 20 or 30 times a day, put rubbing alcohol on your hair 20 or 30 times a day, did laundry with your hair, typed, texted, drove, laundry, cooking, dinner, cleaning,
rubbed it in the dirt while you're gardening.
Rub it in the dirt while you're gardening. Yes, absolutely. If you did all of that with your hair, what would happen? Now, you do all of that with your nails, and you get upset when your nails break. You get upset when your polish doesn't stay on, or you get upset with your manicurist. But you refuse to wear gloves. You overwash them. You overdry them. You don't give them the proper moisture, and then you blame me. And I'm telling you right now, it's your fault, not mine. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I mean, it's, and then the other piece of it is how much are you willing to participate? So I'm hit and miss, so the alternative to that is if my nails are chippy or they're not lasting or whatever happens, I don't look at you and say, it's you. You did this to me. No,
You don't.
No,
Everybody else does.
I don't. And so if you can have that perspective of I'm willing to do X or Y or Z to maintain my nails, or I'm not, and then I just have to come more often.
Your options are, excellent point. Your options are, one, you can come more often. I don't want to come more often. Okay. Well, if you don't want to come more often and you want to ignore your nails, you need a full-blown artificial nail.
Because they're sturdier.
Because they need less attention.
So for me, I'm good sometimes. I ebb and flow, and then I'm terrible. I'm always good at one thing. I always put lotion on every time I wash my hands.
That's why your skin looks nice.
Like every single time. But that's my concession. I put nail oil on. It's sitting beside my bed. I put it on when I remember. I try to make it part of my bedtime routine. I'm not perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
Right. So the point is to just give it some love, and you're going to get some love back from.
You're going to get a lot of love back from just a little bit of love. your nails just need a little bit of love. You need to understand the tissue. The tissue expands and contracts when it gets wet and dry. The tissue expands and contracts when it gets hot and cold. And the more it expands and contracts, and the more gentle the nail product that you have on top of it is, the more likely is the nail product is going to come off. So if you have a harder or sturdier nail coating on top of it, and that nail expands and contracts underneath of it, that harder nail product can take the brunt of the abuse.
Right. So, are there things that you suggest people? I mean, you kind of thrown out nail oil. We just talked about lotion. But are there other ways people can help their nails in regards to giving them love, giving them attention, or, even like the biggest one I can think of that I think I can do if my nails are on too long and starting to pick them off and it's so terrible. Like, there's ways to remove at home and you don't have to do that. Like,
Oh, yes, you can. There are ways to remove your nail coating at home.
mhm.
Yes, there needs to be an understanding of how to remove your nail coating at home. So it depends on the product that's on your nails that will vary how you remove them. The product that you're wearing on your nails is an easy 5 minute or less little soak in acetone, and it's off. But that's because you have a very soft product on your nail. You have a very soft product on your nail because you have a very hard nail. That's what your nail likes. You put a hard product on a soft nail, or you put a hard product on a hard nail, that product is going to fly off. It just opposites attract when it comes to nails. So when you are trying to remove your product at home, you need to know what's on there. And most anything but CND shellac is going to need a nice long acetone soak. 100% pure acetone, not acetone polish remover, 100% pure acetone. So, um, and heat helps that too. So, taking acetone, putting it like a double boiler type situation with a bowl and then in a bowl of water and soaking your nails, scraping on the product, filing on top of the product, having a lot of patience. That is the key to getting those off. But over filing and picking is you're going to blow up your nail plate.
So, what do you think the most challenging nail bed is to work on?
A nail biter,
Okay.
because they have very itty bitty tiny nails because they bit them, and their cuticle has a tendency, because of all of the stimulation from being in the mouth, the cuticle has a tendency to be overgrown and grow up over the nail. So there might be um, maybe an eighth of an inch or less of actual nail plate that's visible. And so safely getting more nail plate exposed can be challenging, but it's still doable. Typically, when I run into that person that have gnawed their nails to death, I see them every 5 to 7 days
And
until I can get some growth. And they also have a tendency to grow very quickly because they've had a lot of stimulation, which means there's a lot of oxygenated blood that is continuing to the area, which does stimulate growth.
then what is like the easiest nail to work on?
The easiest nail to work on. That's a great question, and I've never really thought about the easiest nail to work on. I don't really find any nail excessively difficult.
So it's more about how the person is caring for the nail, the hand, etc., than it is the quality of the nail bed itself.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely more about that. And I think that the difficult factor uh, comes in more with a disconnect of expectations and what the reality of the situation is. That we can't take your weak nail. Nails are like hair. Jennifer and I are sitting next to each other, and I have this thick curly hair, and it's everywhere, and it's a monster. And I wake up, it chooses violence, and then Jennifer has straight, thin, fine hair, and nails are the same way. And so to expect a straight, thin, fine, nailed person to have big, giant, curly, violent hair is not realistic. And so setting those expectations and making a client happy, I find the most difficult part of the nail business.
So, for someone that doesn't live near us, how do you recommend they find a good nail tech?
Just move to 63146 and see me. Or you can get online if you have a product that you like, you can get online and to that product's website and type in your zip code, and anybody that's been trained in that product line should be on their salon locator.
But just because they're trained doesn't necessarily mean they're the best nail tech. What kind of questions would you ask? Like if you're going to call and schedule an appointment, what would you want to know about the nail tech before you went in the door?
Well, I think that that's a great question. I would, and it's hard for me to answer because I'm not a client. But I did, going back to the beginning of this podcast, I was an educator for 5 years. So I went into salons. I think you need to go into the salon because I think that people don't tend to be super honest. I don't think they're intentionally lying, but I think maybe they took a class, got on the salon locator, and now they're fine. Many companies are making you renew your salon locator by taking education, and a lot of companies are offering it for free. I take a free education every spring, which keeps me on the Dazzle Dry salon locator. So there's plenty of salons around us that use Dazzle Dry, but there's two people in St. Louis on the salon locator, and I'm one of them, and that's because I take a free class every year online.
So you're expanding your education and
So,
they're rewarding you for that.
yes,
So if they're on the locator, it really can mean a difference.
it really can at this time. Yes, it really can mean a difference because when all of this first started, once you signed up, you were just on there. But now they're dropping you from the salon locator. I believe C&D will drop you after 2 years if you haven't taken a certification class from them. So there's also different levels of certification. CND has what they call a Grand Master, which means you've taken every single one of their classes within 2 years of each other, and that would be their highest level certification. So
So there are ways to investigate it a little bit further.
there's
too.
ways to investigate it a little bit further, and then walk in and see if they're not using these products as a system. Question it, because that's where your problem comes in when you start using some company's base coat with some company's color coat with some company's top coat and a cheap lamp. You're going to have a lot of problems. There's a lot of technology in these systems, and when you cherry pick from different systems, you're bound to have some level of failure.
So what are your favorite lines that you prefer to use on the client?
Oh, okay. I have three favorite lines. I do use several product lines, but I have three favorite. I think if I could only do one, it would be C&D shellac. I think that C&D shellac is the most color stable. It stays beautiful and shiny on day 1, day 10, day 14, as it did, throughout. It does not change in its shiny factor. Um, Almost all colors don't lose their color. Sometimes you get a little bit of color issues. Some things can stain the lighter colors. If you get in turmeric or you get a new pair of jeans, things can stain. So that's across the board. But I think that C&D across the board is the best. It goes on well, it stays on well, and it removes well. So that would be the one thing that if I had to pick one thing to use. But the other things that I like as far as a full-blown artificial nail, and this is a newer product out on the market, it's C&D's Plexi Gel. And I have started using it over the past year. I was a little hesitant, the only reason why I was hesitant is because I have so many things because I'm a nail geek. So I want everything. So to invest in a whole new nail system when I already have 40 nail systems that work just fine is kind of a struggle for me. But um, I did finally, get it, and it really has been life changing. It has really stepped up the game for a lot of people that struggled with a lot of problems that shellac just wasn't covering. At the same time, I can keep the natural nail in the perfect shape, which is really a game changer. Because when you get into artificial nails, which Plexi Gel is an artificial nail, the type of Plexi Gel that I use what's called Builder. Um, you have a tendency to have to destroy the natural nail a tiny, tiny bit in order to get that nail product to stick. Very similar to damaging the same way we damage the hair shaft to get color to stick. So the hair is actually more damaged than the nail, but the hair is not sitting on top of a nerve ending and not in your visual field every day. So we have a different expectation of those two systems, even though it's pretty much the same anatomy. And then so I've got my gel polish covered, I've got my artificial nail covered, and then as far as air dry nail polish, Dazzle Dry, without a doubt, in over 30 years of doing nails, the best air dry nail polish I have ever seen. It dries when I am finished polishing your nail, following the directions. It is dry in 5 minutes. Put your shoes on dry in 5 minutes. Air dry nail polish wipes up.
Yeah.
Fantastic product.
That's amazing. And that's one somebody could buy and use at home on themselves.
It was actually originally designed for the retail market, not for the professional market. It's COVID that really brought that more to the nail professionals. So it launched in 2014 to the customer, not to the nail tech.
I see. Okay, is there any other topic that you want to just hit on that we missed today, or we can bring all this back up in another podcast later, or I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything really valuable for you to share with people?
I think we hit the really, really important parts. I want to hit home that it is as much my role as your nail professional to take care of your nails and make the right choices. It is much my job as it is yours to make those choices at home. Wear gloves when you clean and do dishes, and use your nail oil.
And use your hand lotion.
And use your hand lotion.
Well, thanks for joining us. She's an endless wealth of knowledge. She is right here at Elemental Aesthetics. Should you want to come get the benefits of her nail brilliance. And, we're glad to have you here. I would greatly appreciate it if you would share and review these podcasts with other people. If you would follow our podcast. We are brand new. This is super important to us right now for you to help us get the word out. Share this with a friend. I mean, who doesn't need to understand more about their nails, for example, in this situation? Anybody could benefit from that. So thank you for listening. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And we shall talk to you the next time. Thanks again from Beyond the Mirror. We want to make a quick but important disclosure. The information and advice shared in this podcast are intended to provide general knowledge and understanding about wellness and health-related subjects. They are not intended to replace professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or qualified health provider with any questions that you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment, and before undertaking a new health regimen. Remember, your health is your responsibility, and it's always best to consult with a healthcare professional.